Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our second Pandemic EBT or P-EBT webinar. My name is Carla Marasini, and I'm the Director of the Food and Energy Assistance Division, housed within the Colorado Department of Human Services, or CDHS for short. While CDHS is the state agency responsible for administering this benefit to Coloradans, this work would not be possible with our partner, the Colorado Department of Education. CDE has played a critical role in the communication and strategic thinking of administering this program, and we are grateful for their partnership. We are also happy to have them on this call and available for the question and answer section at the end of this presentation. This webinar is also being hosted in partnership with Hunger Free Colorado, and I would like to thank them for their help with hosting this webinar and with helping to create and promote the marketing materials associated with PEBT. Thank you, all of you, for being here today and also helping us to promote this new benefit program. Please take a moment to review the agenda that you see on your screen. Overall, the goal of today's presentation is to provide an update on the PEBT benefit, announce the launch of the application page, and provide community partners with marketing and communication tools needed to talk about PEBT with their community. And we'll have a wide variety of presenters speaking with us today, so we look forward to a rich discussion on the benefits. We expect that there will be many questions that arise as we present. As before, the chat box has been disabled and all attendees have been muted. There is a Q&A box that can be used for questions. However, we do expect that we will cover a lot of information. We're asking that you please hold your questions until the end because we expect that many common questions will be answered throughout the presentation. This training is being recorded and it will be shared on our PEBT website once it is ready. Today is a very exciting day. Tomorrow will be even more exciting. And now I will turn it over to Max Young from our office, who will provide part of the PEBT overview.
Thank you so much, Carla, and welcome everyone. I'm here to talk a little bit about PEBT and give a quick introduction, and then we'll get into the heart of the presentation. So most of you know that this last spring, Congress did authorize this new program called Pandemic EBT, or what we know as PEBT for short. And states were provided the opportunity to provide this new program, which gives food benefits to families who have children who are eligible for free and reduced price school meals. PEBT was meant to provide a one-time payment to replace the value of any school meals that were missed due to pandemic-related school closures this spring. And Congress at this point has only authorized the program to cover the missed meals from the March, April, and May of last year, the last school year, and has not authorized additional payments for anything upcoming this fall. So while PEBT is being administered by the Colorado Department of Human Services, which is the same agency that implements SNAP, PEBT is not a part of SNAP. It is actually a separate program. And we do want everyone to know that it does not affect immigration status, so anyone is able to apply as long as they qualify. And the most exciting thing that we are thrilled to announce today is that the PEBT application is actually going to launch tomorrow, July 31st, and will most likely close in late September. The benefits are really meant to support families who have low incomes meet their nutrition and food needs during the pandemic. What's really great about PEBT is that it can be used in combination with other nutrition resources that families might be already receiving. That might be grab-and-go school meals, or maybe it's SNAP, or even other nutrition resources like food from food banks or food pantries. PEBT does not impact any other benefits that families might receive. And it actually is used very similar to SNAP on food benefits and is not a cash benefit directly. So let's talk a little bit about who's eligible for PEBT. I'm going to do a quick overview because I think this is a very helpful slide to get us into context. The first is, in order to be eligible for PEBT, students must have been enrolled in a school that participated in the National School Lunch Program. We're going to refer to this as NSLP for short. And that would be in the last school year. So in the 2019-2020 school year. If any family isn't sure if if their school participated in NSLP last year, you can click here to kind of help them figure that out. This link takes you to an Excel spreadsheet that has a list of all NSLP participating sites in them. This link is also found in many places throughout our application, as you'll see here shortly. In addition to that first criteria, families also must fall into one or more of the following criteria. One, that they were or became eligible for free and reduced price meals in March, April, or May of the 2019-2020 school year. And this might mean that they started the school year with free and reduced price meal participation, or that they actually became eligible due to pandemic-related income loss that the family experienced during those months. The other criteria is that their school might be a community eligibility provision or Provision 2 site, meaning that the school offers free meals to all kids through NSLP. So to review over this again, any student or household with students who are newly eligible for free or reduced price meals due to income loss that was experienced during COVID-19 can qualify and should apply for the program. We're also very excited that any student in an NSLP participating school that's in pre-K all the way up to 12th grade is eligible for the program and should apply. And again, immigration status does not matter for P-EBT eligibility. All students who attend a CEP or Community Eligibility Provision site or Provision 2 school are eligible because all students at that school are receiving free meals through these provisions. And families that were participating in SNAP during the months of March, April, and/or May be provided automatic eligibility and issuance for P-EBT for one or more of those months that they were participating. So when we talk about eligibility, we keep comparing it to the free and reduced price lunch. And this guideline will give you a little bit more information about what we're talking about regarding the income eligibility. So that's at 185% of the federal poverty level. And this guideline that you see on the right gives you an overview of the household size and the monthly income that is required to be eligible for this benefit. This income guideline is going to be found on a few different places, similar to that NSLP chart that I talked about earlier, including the application itself. And one thing that's really important to point out here is this income guideline is for the 2019-2020 school year, so not for any upcoming school year that may have already been released. It's for the months of March, April, and May of 2020. So now I'm actually going to turn it over to my colleague Megan, who's going to go over getting and using P-EBT.
Thanks, Max. Hi, my name is Megan Hrdlichka, also from CDHS. Over the next few slides, I'm going to talk with you about how P-EBT is issued to families and the steps that families need to take in order to receive the benefit, as well as what they can do with the benefit once they have it. There are several ways that families will be able to participate in P-EBT. One tool that our office created was the P-EBT automatic issuance for SNAP families, which successfully issued benefits to over 100,000 students last week on Thursday and on Friday. For families who did not receive all P-EBT benefits auto-issued last week, we've created a short, simple online application, which is launching tomorrow. We'll walk through more detail on each of these items on the next couple of slides. So there are a couple of scenarios where we hope families apply for P-EBT through the online application. First, if the family was not participating in SNAP, but was participating in or eligible for free or reduced price meals during the 2019-2020 school year and was attending an eligible school. Second, there will likely be households that were not eligible for free or reduced price meals before COVID, but that have recently lost income in the months of March, April, or May. These families could also now be eligible for P-EBT as long as the children were enrolled in that NSLP school, and these families should also apply through the application. Now, first we're going to talk about P-EBT issuance for SNAP households. Although SNAP and PEBT are separate programs, because our teams have access to the SNAP data, we were able to automatically issue PEBT benefits for some families who were participating in SNAP during March, April, and May. The automatic eligibility determination was dependent on our county SNAP files and our data from schools from around the state being an exact match in order for our system to be able to determine that yes, this child is eligible for PEBT, and then to go ahead and issue that benefit to the family's EBT card. So there were both whole families and students within families that this process worked for. So we're excited that about 60,000 families were issued a PEBT benefit last week. Now, there are also times when the data did not have a perfect match for a student and the system did not have enough information to know how to make that decision. So an example of this could be if a child was registered at school under a nickname or something like that, but the SNAP case had their full name. So that was not able to be matched and was not determined to be a match. So it's important to note that the lack of auto issuance does not mean that that student is not eligible. It only means that the system needs a little bit more information to know, which the parent will then put into the online application. Please note that it could also be the case that one child in a household did receive the auto issuance while another child in the same household did not. This has been a common question we've received and just has to do with the ability to match those names or other pieces of data perfectly within each child's file. So families who received any amount of PEBT issuance also were mailed letters last week that explain the benefit, the deposit they received, and also the details on which child it was issued for. The letter also prompts families to apply for any children that did not receive automatic issuance. There will also be some circumstances where a SNAP family received auto-issued benefits, but only as a partial benefit number, which would be less than the $279 per child. This could happen if they were only actively receiving SNAP for some of, but not all, of the months of March, April, and May. In this case, the client may wish to apply through the application for the months that were not auto-issued to them if they feel they are eligible. Now, for any families who are not participating in SNAP during March, April, and May, or who did not receive the full auto issuance for their kids, we will ask those families to apply through the application. The application will be available starting tomorrow for multiple weeks. When sitting down to fill out the application, the family will need the state-issued student ID numbers, sometimes called SACIDs, for each child that they wish to include on the application. These student ID numbers have been sent to families from each child's school over the past several weeks. If the family does not already have this ID number, please encourage them to contact their school districts, and we have included a link down here in the bottom corner that will provide that contact information. After the family completes, electronically signs, and submits their application online, they'll receive an eligibility determination letter through the mail within 5 business days. And again, this letter will explain the PEBT eligibility decision, that household's specific PEBT benefit issuance, as well as some detail on how to spend the benefits. So how will families receive and spend PEBT benefits? PEBT benefits are similar to SNAP benefits. They are issued and spent through the use of an EBT card. Families will either receive benefits loaded to their existing EBT cards or will be issued a PEBT card through the mail, arriving within 12 to 24 days. Details and instructions for these specific aspects will be provided to the applicant throughout the application. Once the family has their EBT card with the PEBT benefits on it, how do they spend the funds? PEBT funds can be used for grocery products only, just like how SNAP funds can be used at grocery stores, farmers markets, and participating online retailers. There's a link on this page that details which items are eligible for purchase. Additionally, P-EBT can be used for the Double Up Food Bucks program, which provides a bonus dollar for each P-EBT dollar spent on fruits and vegetables. Once issued, the P-EBT funds are active for 1 year on the household card and are set to spend first, which means they'll be used prior to any other benefit categories on the family's card, such as SNAP. And finally, how much will families receive through the program? The maximum P-EBT benefit is $279 per child, which represents a one-time lump sum for March, April, and May at the rate of $570 per day. If students were only eligible for 1 or 2 of these months, they will end up seeing a prorated amount of that $279 value of P-EBT. So now we've concluded talking about how P-EBT is issued and the steps families will need to take to receive the benefit, as well as what they can do with the benefit once they have it. So now we'll hear from Mia, who will walk you through the steps and the screens of the P-EBT application.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mia Donley with the P-EBT team here at CDHS. And like Megan said, we'll be doing a walkthrough of the P-EBT online application so you can best help families submit their applications as well. The P-EBT application will be available online in English and Spanish at our website, colorado.gov/cdhs/P-EBT, which is our P-EBT hub. On that website, you'll see a link for the online application once it's open tomorrow. And as a reminder, household information used to determine eligibility for P-EBT is confidential and protected under both federal and state data privacy practices. When applying for P-EBT, families will need to provide their name, date of birth, mailing address where a card can be sent, and a phone number in case we need to follow up on their application. We will also need to know household size and income for the months of March, April, and May, depending on what information is provided throughout the application. We will also need the student's name, date of birth, school district and school name, and a state-issued ID number, sometimes referred to as a SACID. Now, if a family did not receive communication from their child's school with their state-issued ID number, they can find that ID number on some of their student or parent portals, or they can request it by contacting their school district's P-EBT contact, which is listed here and will be linked throughout the application. Now, after a family has gathered all that information, they'll click on the link to apply and will be brought to this welcome page. Please note that the screenshots you see today are from the test website and the final application may appear slightly different. On this page is information about P-EBT and how to apply for benefits. A brief overview of what information families will need to complete the application, eligibility, and the P-EBT card is outlined here. There are also instructions for applicants who had an EBT card in the past but need a replacement card if their previous card can't be located. Applicants will email our P-EBT inbox with the listed information, and this required information is stated throughout the application. The last section of this page includes a flow chart that helps families determine if they may be eligible to apply. The first question asks if the applicant student attends a school that participates in the National School Lunch Program. A link to eligible schools can be clicked here. If the applicants answer no, the student is not eligible for this benefit, but other food resources are linked here, such as a link to free food resources and the link to apply for SNAP benefits. If an applicant answers yes, they will be asked if they received SNAP benefits during March, April, and May of this year. If yes, their P-EBT benefits should have been automatically loaded onto their EBT card and there's no need to apply. However, for those families that were not automatically issued P-EBT or did not receive SNAP for all 3 of these months, they may qualify for more P-EBT and should apply. If they do answer no, they will be asked if they have a state-issued ID number for each student applying. Again, a link to a list of school contacts is listed here if families don't have their student's ID number. If they do have that state-issued ID number, then they can apply for P-EBT and can continue on to click Apply Now. Please note that all the links listed in this flowchart will also be available throughout the application. So we'll go back to the top of the page and click Apply Now and start the PEBT application. The first page you will see is household information. The head of household is the person who will receive the PEBT card. Here you'll enter the head of household's first and last name, date of birth, and sex. Social Security number is not a required field, so if they're unable to enter one, don't worry, you'll still be able to move forward. However, this pop-up will appear if no Social Security number is entered, which notifies the applicant that entering in their Social Security number helps us check if there's an existing EBT card in our system for benefit issuance. The pop-up also lets families know if they haven't entered in a Social Security number, a new EBT card will be sent to them, and this will replace any EBT card they've had in the past. As an additional way to double check, we are asking families if they have ever received any Colorado benefits on an EBT card in the past to determine whether they have a previous EBT card for benefits to be loaded onto. If they click yes, another question will appear asking if they still have their EBT card. If they click no/I don't know, a pop-up box will appear. This box will remind families that if they still have their previous EBT card, benefits will be automatically issued to that card. We are highly encouraging families to try to find their past EBT card, as this will help them receive their benefits as quickly as possible. If they don't find their previous card, this prompt will remind them that there's another additional step to require a replacement card. Applicants must email the PEBT inbox with the information in this pop-up. Information to include in this email is mentioned in this pop-up as well as at the end of the application, so applicants will see this information and reminder again. On the same page, families will be asked for their mailing address and contact information. It's important to click Verify Address once filled out to verify everything is correct. Any incorrect information will slow down the process for families getting their PEBT cards. In the contact information, phone number is needed, so we may call families if we have any questions about their application. An email address is optional, but it's helpful for those who need a replacement EBT card. Preferred language also helps us with written correspondence and telephone language translation services. We may also reach out later for verification of reported income using this contact information. For the next page, we'll ask for student information. Families will enter in each student in their household one at a time. First name, last name, date of birth, and whether the student is in foster care or receiving TANF assistance will need to be filled out. Next, the student's school information will be filled out based on their school type, district, and school name, and whether the student was approved for free or reduced price meals for the 2019-2020 school year. They must also provide that key information of the state issued ID number. If families don't know the ID number for their student, then that blue "Here" may be clicked, which will bring up a list of contacts for each school district. Once this information is complete, they can click Add Another Student, or they can click Next if this page is complete. Next, most families will be asked to provide their household size and income information for each month of March, April, and May 2020. There might be some families who don't see this page based on questions they've answered previously in the application, but it will appear for most. And so once this is all filled in, you can click Next. Now it's time to submit the application. A summary of the PEBT outcome will show at the top of this page. This would indicate if the application is able to be submitted, or that the student has already applied or received the benefit, or that the client needs to contact the inbox for assistance. Families will also receive a reminder that they will receive a determination letter within 5 days after submission to the mailing address they provided. So if the outcome says it's good to go and the data is matched, families must check the box that they are electronically signing the app, type their first and last name, and then click Submit. Once submitted, the last page will tell families the next steps and confirm their application is submitted. Make sure families keep this reference number for their records. Next steps are also given with more information about receiving an EBT card. So if the applicant has never had an EBT card, they will receive a new one in the mail in about 12 to 24 days to that address they provided. And there's also another reminder in these next steps for applicants who have had an EBT card in the past but may need a replacement card. The information we need sent to the PEBT inbox is listed here as well, so families can write this down before they close the application. Otherwise, benefits will be loaded automatically onto their EBT card. The fastest way to access benefits is by applying online. However, we recognize that some households may be unable to do so. So for households with barriers to applying online, for example, due to technology limitations or speaking a language other than English or Spanish, some of our SNAP outreach partners can help. If you anticipate this need in your community, you can reach out to these contacts to set up a referral with Hunger Free Colorado for technology barriers and Mile High United Way for additional languages. If you need help finding that state issued ID number, our SNAP outreach partners can't assist with this, but you can contact the school or district's PEBT contact, which is linked here. So let's review over all the PEBT information we just discussed. So if a family is receiving SNAP in March, April, and/or May 2020, and their children attend an NSLP participating school, they may have received their PEBT benefits on their EBT card the week of July 20th, and if so, they don't need to apply. But if auto issuance did not match all students in each household, or if eligible children are missing from the eligibility letter, we encourage those families to apply online. And if a family has eligible children that attended an NSLP participating school this spring, but they did not receive the auto issuance through SNAP during March, April, or May, then they should apply for PEBT. And again, our application will be posted tomorrow on our website. And just a reminder again, PEBT is a separate program from SNAP, but the benefits are used similarly. You can use it at the grocery stores, farmers markets, and even online at Amazon and Walmart. And they can also be used with double up food bucks. And again, PEBT is available to all eligible families, regardless of immigration status, and it is not part of the public charge rule. So now I'll turn it over to Anya with Hunger Free Colorado, who's going to go over our outreach toolkit and materials.
Thank you, Mia. Hello, everyone. This is Anya Rose with Hunger Free Colorado. And as Mia said, I'll be going over how individuals and organizations can help to promote PEBT and some of the tools that we've put together to help with that outreach. So we have created a folder full of resources for doing outreach on and promoting PEBT, and it is now posted for you all to use, which we're really excited about. So it's available online on the CDHS PEBT website. You can find it in the training and resources section at the bottom, and it'll also be on Hunger Free Colorado's website as well. So the purpose of this toolkit is really to help both individuals and organizations to spread the word about the program in whatever way is best for their community. So it's meant to be used once the application becomes available tomorrow. And that's because lots of the materials direct families right to that application page that will go live tomorrow morning. Almost all of the components in the toolkit are in English and Spanish, and we're also working on getting fact sheets and flyers into additional languages as well. And as you're using the toolkit, if there are questions or additional needs that come up, please reach out to us. We really want it to be working for everybody. And you can contact us at PEBT@hungerfreecolorado.org. So what is in the toolkit? The toolkit contains a lot of different materials. It contains talking points, fact sheets with an eligibility flowchart. It contains flyers and social media posts and samples. There's an email template. There's copy for a web page or newsletter announcement. There's a text message template, a robocall or phone call script. There's also a PowerPoint presentation that's similar to today's so that you can share and train members of your community on the program. There are links to promotional videos on YouTube. There's also another video that goes through the application and how to fill it out. That video is a little bit longer and more geared toward navigators who will be helping families through the application. And then finally, there are also slides and recordings from this webinar and the community training held at the end of June. And everything except for the video application guide is already available in both English and Spanish. And as I said earlier, the flyer and fact sheets are going to be available in additional languages. So those pieces of the toolkit are also actually available in several different formats too. So you can choose which is best for you. You can use versions that are all designed and ready to go, or there are options to download as editable PDFs or documents. So you can edit and add your organization's information or logo and tailor the resources to your community. So for example, if you are in a school district that is all CEP, meaning that all families can qualify for the program and you want to promote that, you could absolutely edit the fact sheet or flyer to reflect that and make it a little simpler for families. So over the next few days, we'll be adding resources in additional languages as we get translations back. But if you're in need of a language that we don't have up there yet, please get in touch so that we can make sure that the toolkit is supporting you all and promoting the program as best as possible. So how can you access and use the toolkit? It's really just a Google folder. So you'll click on the link either in this presentation or online on CDHS's page or on Hunger Free Colorado's page, or I will drop it into the chat right now. And that will bring you to a Google Drive with folders for the languages materials are available in. If you click on English, for example, it will bring you to that list of all the available resources that you see on the right. And that first document that says number 1, start here, that goes over some of the basics of the toolkit and also includes a table of contents so that you can easily click through to all of the resources if you prefer a document view to a folder view. And everything in the toolkit is branded to look consistent with the look of the application and additional digital marketing that will launch over the next couple weeks across the state. So the idea is that we can be building program recognition and trust across communications, especially right now, because this is a time where so much is going on and it is easy to lose track of what is what. So here's an example of one of the flyers and social media posts that will be in the toolkit. And again, you can edit and brand these materials to make them work for you. And then in the bottom right is an example of one of the digital banners that will be part of a digital marketing campaign across the state launching next week. So to summarize, this is an incredibly exciting program that could bring a lot of resources to Colorado families, but the success of this program really relies on eligible families knowing about it, knowing how to access it, and successfully applying. And we only have a couple short months to make sure that happens. So please tell your friends and neighbors about PEBT, inform your community about what you've learned about the program and how it can be accessed. And please use this toolkit to promote the program and do outreach to potentially eligible households in your communities. I think if we're all talking about and educating on and lifting up this program, it could be a really big success and bring over $100 million in crucial food resources to our communities to support child health and education and Colorado's economic recovery. So there's really a lot of potential if we can make sure it reaches everybody. So we're really grateful to everyone tuning in and paying attention to this program and hope you all will continue to help to spread the word now that the application is opening. So as just a final review before we move into questions, this slide has links to all of the resources and contacts to support PEBT access, and we'll be sending all these links in the follow-up email for today's webinar. You'll also get these slides in that email. But if you need help accessing a state-issued ID number, that number that's sometimes referred to as a SACID for a student, you can check that first list for your school district's PEBT contact who can help you get that number. If you are unsure of if a school participates in the National School Lunch Program, and so if that student could qualify for PEBT, you can check that second list of NSLP participating schools. For technical support and program or policy questions, you can reach out to the state's PEBT inbox at PEBT2020@state.co.us. Though do make sure to check their website for FAQs first, because there's a ton of great info online already at the site that we put there at the bottom right of this slide. And then finally, there's a link there to the Outreach Toolkit. And again, for Outreach Toolkit questions or needs or application assistance questions, you can reach out to Hunger Free Colorado at PEBT@hungerfreecolorado.org. So thank you all so much for joining us today to learn about what's coming soon, coming tomorrow with PEBT. We're now going to move into the Q&A, so you can enter questions that you have into the Q&A box. We have Rachel Burnham with the Department of Education here to help, as well as Terry Chaston with the Department of Human Services, and they'll be helping to respond to your questions. It looks like we have already received quite a few through the Q&A box, and you can continue to send those in. We'll go through all of those and cover as much as we can this afternoon. But do know that there are also lots and lots of FAQs already written up on the CDHS webpage, and we'll make sure to update if we get questions that are missing. So let's see what we have. All right, so first question is, what about children in daycare programs that offer free or reduced lunch program?
Yeah, this is Rachel. I can go ahead and try to answer that. So we do have some daycares or childcare programs that offer free and reduced price lunch, but it's through typically CDPHE or the Child and Adult Care Food Program, not necessarily the National School Lunch Program. So you are going to want to check that NSLP participating site list.
Thank you. Next question. Can PEBT eligibility letters be viewed in PEAK or PEAK Pro?
Thank you, Anya. This is Terry Chasen with CDHS, and I can answer this question. No, they will not. Specifically, if they are coming from the application, they are not tied to PEAK or PEAK Pro.
Thank you. Then we have a question about sharing the state issued ID number. So when a parent or guardian has contacted their district over email, is it okay to share that state issued ID number or SACID over email? It's probably one for Rachel.
Sure, thanks. Yes, so similar to when sharing free and reduced price meal eligibility, we do ask that you ask some verifying questions prior to releasing any information, and the same will be true for that state issued ID or the SACID information. So making sure they're a member of the household or connected to that student in some manner, whether you're asking them to verify an address or phone number, something like that. We highly encourage that before providing that over email.
Thank you. Is the eligibility guideline for income, so that 185% FPL, is that still important if the entire school gets free lunches? And I think that's probably, the question doesn't say this, but I'm guessing that's through CEP or Provision 2.
Thanks, Anya. This is Terry again from CDHS. I can answer that question. While the application may ask for income, what we will be doing is matching the student to the list that we received from CDE. And that list will tell us if that child, based off their SAFID, is attending a school that is CEP. So the application might ask for the income, but we will look for the match first. And then if we're not able to make the match, then we would use the income.
Great, thank you. This question came in Spanish, and it's asking if schools will begin giving out those ID numbers tomorrow as well at the same time that the application opens. I think that's probably one for Rachel. Can you talk a little bit about how schools are sharing those out?
Yes, so we do have quite a lot of districts that either proactively provided those state IDs or they provided information on how families can access those state IDs. But we also have alternatively a handful waiting for the release of the application, and they would like to provide the IDs and the link to the application at the same time. So our partners do have that information of how and when districts or schools provided that information. So if you have more specific questions, our partners can help answer some of those questions.
Thank you. And then this one, I think is for Terry. Is legal status information asked on the application for families that are not currently receiving SNAP?
Thank you, Anya. No, we are not asking any questions around legal status. We do ask for an Social Security number if individuals have one. And as the presentation noted, that is mainly for us to be able to issue and match if a person had an existing EBT card. But if the adult member of the household who's applying for the children does not have a Social Security number and they leave it blank, we just sort of make up a number that then will be used for their EBT card issuance.
Great. And Terry, I have another one for you. For the income for March, April, and May, does the pandemic unemployment benefits, do they need to be reported as income for those months?
Yes, we provided a link that provides some guidance on what income to provide, but mainly we are just asking for the household to provide the income that they actually received in those months. So they may have applied for pandemic unemployment, but if they were not approved until May, then they would not enter that income in March and April.
Great. And will families need to submit pay stubs or employer letters to verify income like they might with the SNAP program?
I can take that one again. Maybe. So since PEBT uses the eligibility that's used for the free and reduced lunch program, we are following the verification guidelines of that program and not the verification guidelines of SNAP. This allows us to verify a certain percentage of families, income for a certain percentage of families. This is why we asked for some contact information on the application. We will be reaching out to some families and asking for verification, but it will be a random sample and it will not be all families.
Thank you. And what is the youngest age a child can be eligible for this program for?
Rachel may need help with this question.
Yeah, nope, that's okay. I was just going to jump in. So the age isn't necessarily as much of a factor as it is that they're enrolled and attending an NSLP site. So again, that is any age child that is attending a pre-K through 12 NSLP school site.
Thank you. And then we have a question about for some of those families who maybe got automatic issuance for some children, but not all. So if a family got money for some kids, but not all, when reapplying, should they put all students again on the application or just those that didn't receive the benefit?
Anya, this is Terry. I can answer this question. They would only have to put the children that did not receive the benefit on the application. They do not need to enter all the children. If they do enter all the children, our system will be able to make a data match and confirm that the child already received the benefit. Then the family will get a pop-up in that child summary screen that will let them know that that child has already received benefits and is not eligible.
Great. And then, okay, we have a question about the application launch. So when the application launches, will the website be able to accept the large capacity of applicants trying to access the application? They're thinking about what happened with the unemployment website when it crashed because there was so much volume.
Yes, Anya, I can sort of answer that question. Well, we do not anticipate that this would happen. Obviously, sometimes technology is not in everyone's control, but we are planning for that, and we anticipate that we will have enough bandwidth for the number of applicants. Obviously, we would ask you to help us, maybe not necessarily encourage everyone to apply on the first day. Since that application will be available through most of September, there is plenty of time for the households to apply.
Great. And then many more people are now using grocery store apps that allow you to pick groceries up in order to avoid physically walking into a store, can you use your EBT card for this? And will you still be able to get double up food bucks?
Thank you, Anya. This is Terry. I can address this question too. This depends on the grocery store. We have a few grocery stores in Colorado that are allowing individuals to use their EBT card to pay for groceries curbside. What we would recommend is that the individual who would like to use this to contact that specific grocery store to confirm whether or not they can use the EBT card for curbside pickup. We are aware that most King Soopers grocery stores throughout Colorado are using this feature, but we would recommend, again, that the individual reach out to their specific grocery store and they can ask the question about the EBT card use and using it for double up food bucks at that same time.
Great. And then since not all of the SNAP households were matched and automatically issued, do we know how many children were not matched in the PEBT auto issuance and so we'll have to apply instead?
I can answer this question, Anya. This is Terry again. We actually do not know that number because we are not able to provide a number of how many children might actually be eligible for this program. If they were in an NSLP school and maybe the family lost income in March, April, or May, they could be newly eligible for this program. So really the number could be significant and we don't have a specific number of children who could be eligible for the program.
Gotcha. Thank you. And then we have another question that's sort of similar to a couple we've asked before, but does this include early childhood education care for kids who qualify for whatever food program they offer at that site? Probably for Rachel.
Sure, yeah, I'm happy to take this one. So again, it is just going to depend what that early childhood center, what federal child nutrition program they operate, because we do have some that are CCP, they're Head Start or early childhood. Again, we highly encourage that you check that easily accessible link to see if your specific school site does operate the National School Lunch Program.
Thank you. And I missed part of that question that also clarified, is it just public schools or public programs?
Yeah, so a large majority of them are public schools, charter schools. We have about 15 private schools in total that operate the National School Lunch Program in Colorado.
Thank you. And then we have, this is actually probably more of a question for me, but is there any talk happening at the state or federal level of PEBT benefits being offered in the fall for students or families that either opt for learning from home or have to learn from home? So the short answer is yes. There's definitely talk about extending pandemic EBT benefits. However, it would require action from Congress because this program was authorized in one of the previous relief packages from Congress. And the next round of relief from Congress is actually being debated right now. So the House passed a version of the next relief package that did include an extension of PEBT, and it would actually expand it to a few other populations as well. However, the current version of the Senate version of that relief package doesn't include it, but that's being debated kind of as we speak. So if you are hoping to advocate for that, now is the time to reach out to your senators and call for that. And then how long will PEBT benefits be available for? That's probably for Terry.
Yes, thank you, Anya. So we know, again, sort of referencing the congressional acts that Anya was mentioning, the congressional bill that gave us the ability to do PEBT, that the funding for that bill ends on September 30th. So we will have the application open and available till somewhere in mid to late September. And that will sort of depend on, the closure date will depend on how much time we need to make sure we have all the funding issued out before September 30th. But it will not go past September 30th unless there is a new bill for the fall. And even if that is the case, most likely we would take this version of the application down and open up a new version of the application. So we highly encourage all families to apply definitely before the middle of September.
Great, thank you. And Terry, is the application platform compatible with completion on a smartphone?
That is an excellent question. I believe you could use it through your browser, through the phone, but it's not available right now as like a separate app.
Great, thank you. And Rachel, question for you. Is Head Start part of NSLP or the National School Lunch Program?
I don't believe so overall, but we definitely have some Head Start programs that do operate the National School Lunch Program.
Thank you. And this is another one for you. What are schools doing currently to inform families of this program?
So they're doing a variety of things. Our unit, the school nutrition unit with the Department of Education, did create a communication template toolkit. So we have template language for like a letter to households, explaining what PEBT is, how they can apply, what they'll need to apply. We have text messaging scripts, robocalls, emails, and our districts have provided families that information using a variety of those models.
Thank you. And now, Terry, back to you with this one. If a family wasn't on SNAP, do they have like a PEAK app or a PEAK Pro app, or can they check their retroactive eligibility for SNAP as part of the PEBT application process? And if they qualified for SNAP, would they get back benefits for March, April, May?
Thank you, Anya. That appears to be a complex question. So the first part, can they check it through the PEBT application? Not specifically through the application, but we do provide links to our SNAP application and the PEAK website where people can sign in and create an account and get access to any of their SNAP information. So that would be the answer for the first part. For the question around being able to get SNAP retroactively, unfortunately, SNAP does not function in that manner. For SNAP, you have to have your eligibility starts with the date that you apply for SNAP benefits. So if the household does decide to take this opportunity to apply for SNAP, their first date of eligibility and benefits would be based off the date they submit their application.
Thank you. And we have 5 minutes left, so I'm going to speed through a few more. Terry, I think this one is again for you. Can families check the balance of their cards and see that they have received their payment? And will it show up as PEBT?
Families, yes, families can check their cards using the EBT Edge website, phone number, and there is also, I believe, an app. They can use their PEAK, their My Colorado Benefits mobile app to check their benefits. They may not be showing specifically as PEBT benefits, as they will sort of see them as the same benefit because they can access them in the same manner. But they can certainly check, and we would encourage families who are currently SNAP eligible to check, just in case they did not get the letter.
Thank you. And then this one is for Rachel. Is there a benefit to encouraging families to apply for free and reduced price lunch for the 2020-2021 school year in addition to the PEBT application?
Yes, thanks, Anya. Yes, of course. And we're also providing that same message to our sponsors to make sure they're also communicating that with their families, that just because they apply and maybe are approved for PEBT doesn't automatically make them eligible for free and reduced lunch. And it's still very important that they apply for free and reduced lunch because those benefits will be available to them for the start of the school year, as well as families applying also greatly helps our districts receive additional funding. So families should continue to apply for free and reduced price meals in addition to pandemic EBT.
Great, thank you. And then we have a question about outreach. So should the other SNAP outreach partners refer people needing help with the PEBT application to Hunger Free Colorado or 211? And is there a special telephonic signature process for PEBT applications submitted with people over the phone? So the way that Hunger Free Colorado and 211 are sort of splitting up the outreach, just because there are a lot of families that will need to apply, so we want to make sure we can serve people as best as possible. One, we're really encouraging people first to go to the online application when that's an option, but when there are barriers, Hunger Free Colorado is going to take the lead for folks with technology barriers. So if that's a concern in your community, reach out to us and we'll set up a referral system. And then 211 has a language line, so they will be helping submit applications for folks who need languages other than English and Spanish. And then if you are also a SNAP outreach partner that does telephonic signature already, it's an option for you to also do PEBT applications, but there will be additional reporting required for that. So you should just reach out to Hunger Free Colorado if you're one of our subrecipients, or you can reach out to the state if you contract directly with them to figure that out. Max, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I do. Hi, everyone. This is Max. Mia and I both oversee the outreach program here at CDHS, and we'll be working with each of our outreach partners directly on whether they're going to be doing any additional application assistance. So it is an option, but there is a little bit of extra training that we want to make sure all the partners go through. And so in the coming week, actually next week, we have scheduled a webinar that we'll be doing just for our outreach partners, kind of on our expectations and protocol. So more to come.
Thank you. And it's 2:59, so I think we probably have time for one more question. Next is, will people be able to see issuance on the EBT Edge website or app? And is there a way to see a list kind of to specifically see what was issued and when?
This is Terry. So yes, they can see their benefits. I kind of mentioned that before on the Edge website. I believe it was broken down by dates that the money was issued. If they have any questions in regards to their benefits and they need to determine that, we encourage them to reach out to our PEBT mailbox that is shared throughout the presentation and also on our website, and we can help them problem solve.
Great, thank you. Well, thank you so much, everybody. It is now 3 p.m., so we're going to have to wrap up. Thank you so much to the Department of Human Services and the Department of Education for sharing today and for the really tireless work that it's taken to lift up this huge new program for our state. And thank you to everybody for joining us and for taking really precious time out of your days to learn about this program and ask all these excellent questions. If we didn't get to your question, we'll be looking through those to make sure that we have those answered on the FAQ page. But thank you all so much for your time. We'll be in touch and keep an eye out for an email with follow-up information, including the outreach toolkit and some of the links mentioned in this PowerPoint. So we'll be in touch and wish everyone a wonderful rest of their afternoon.